Hello, everybody. This is Bill from the Sit Rep Podcast. Welcome back for the second exciting episode of Season 7. Happy anniversary, everybody. And by anniversary, I'm talking about January 22nd, 1879. What does that day mean in history? Stay tuned and find out. And we'll see you right after this in 3, 2, 1.
Big Duke 6 Eagle Thrust. Put on side war up. Sing it loud. And the Romeo Foxtrot, shall we dance?
You are listening to the Sitrep Podcast, your source for everything related to historical wargaming. Whether you are looking for the latest wargaming news, reviews, painting tutorials, or playthroughs, you will hear about it right here. So grab your favorite beverage or brush and let's hit it.
Hello, everybody. And we are back. We might sound a little different today. And that's because we are in a quote-unquote remote location. And everybody who can be is in-house today.
What up?
That is Martin.
Hello.
And that is Chris. And today is a big anniversary in warfare history. And to that you're going, what could that possibly be? January 22nd, 1879, South Africa. There had just been a battle during the day of Islandwanda, where the British Army was defeated by a native Zulu force. It is the worst defeat by a modern force against quote-unquote primitive force. So there, shortly after, at approximately 1600 hours, began the battle or the defense of Rorke's Drift. And today, we are playing that game, that battle. We are doing the defense of Rorke's Drift in 28mm. If you've been following along on our Facebook pages and everywhere else, you should have seen everything going on up to this date. And this morning, we are feverishly working away to finalize a few things. So today, we're going to talk a little bit about, I got 230 Zulus ready on the table. I don't know what he's laughing at. So I could put another 150 on the table. It would take me approximately 2 hours to paint them all up. Airbrush is an amazing thing when you know how to use it. So,
Right.
Anyway, we are going to go ahead and get ready to rumble. So, I am sitting here at the command console, and Marty is over there doing his thing, and Chris is over there doing his thing. So, guys, good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
So, as tradition, what have you guys been up to? Who would like to start?
Speaking of our project and feverishly painting, and which is what I'm doing right now. So wrapping up, I've got about 100 or so Brits. So wrapping up the finishing touches on those guys. And then at some point this morning, I got 39 Zulus that are base coated, but will need a little bit of paint and need to be based as well. So I did, also work on some of the special figures that came in the Warlord set. So we've got some of those as well for characters and animals and such. And the water wagon's done.
Nice.
Yeah, turned out good.
Excellent. Yeah, that sucks. All right. Chris, how about you?
I have actually painted something. I know that's hard to believe.
What?
Yep.
Was it a miniature?
No.
Your kitchen doesn't count.
No. One of the props for today.
Right.
Yeah.
What did you paint?
Painted the spear
Oh, that's right.
and stained. When was the last time one of you guys stained for this hobby, huh?
230,
Stained, not
200,
painted.
230 Zulus are all watered down stain as the wash.
Mm-hmm.
It is upstairs.
That's paint.
No.
That's paint.
It's stain. Look, read the can.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And so right now I'm watching Marty try not to get confused on which one is his coffee cup and his water.
You saw me almost did it. Brushing the coffee cup almost happened. It's not gonna lie. Won't be the first time.
Yeah. So, Anyway, so we have the table completely done, and it looks really good.
Yeah,
So
turned out well.
Yeah, let's talk about the table build for a little bit. So I was thinking about a couple different options when it came to building the table. One, we wanted it big enough so it didn't seem like a parking lot, right, for 28 millimeter. That's your biggest downfall for 28 millimeter scale, especially when you're doing larger battles. You know, a skirmish battle is one thing, but this is not a skirmish battle.
4,000 Zulu is in the skirmish?
No.
But skirmishing is in the rules.
Right. So speaking of rules, we'll talk about those in a second. Let's finish the table talk first. Table talk. So the table I came up with covers my pool table. I don't know if we came out with the exact measurements, but it's 6 feet wide and 8 feet long.
Yeah, I was gonna say 6 by 8.
Yeah, 6 by 8. So what I did is I ended up getting 1.5 inch foam insulation, the pink foam. And that's what we used for the base of the board. And I did it in sections this time instead of like a big piece of board. I'm trying to get the camera working so you guys can watch us on live if you want to, and then this will be audio recorded later. But of course, I have a new phone, so all my passwords and everything are goofed up. So trying to get that working. So we use pink foam because you can carve it. You know, I have one of those foam cutters, electric foam cutters. I got a cheap one, I'll admit. I'm going to definitely buy an industrial strength one because we do seem to use it quite a bit. And even when I don't use it for a while, but when I need it.
Although I will tell you, if you're cutting foam, having one of those is really nice. That because generally my foam projects haven't been so big that I've decided to make the jump to the expensive, $12 it would cost for a super cheap one.
Right.
So I do it with large craft knives, and that was much faster, and depending on the type of foam, a much cleaner cut. So if you're working in foam, folks, consider making the. I'm not saying you got to go out and buy a Proxon, but an inexpensive handheld cutting wand is a really nice tool to have.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, pay attention, though, with this stuff. Patience is your friend.
It is. You got to go slow because that wire, I don't know on the industrial strength if that wire's any thicker than the crappy one I got, the cheapo Amazon bargain basement one. But, yeah. So...
And he says that because he's broken every one of his wires.
Well, and I'm not the only one. I mean, there's a lot of people who will tell you the same thing, right? So...
Well, that, and if you're using the wand, there's only so much juice going to that thing, so you can't go faster than the wand will cut efficiently. Otherwise, you also can't hold it in the same place, or else you're gonna get a really weird looking melted hole in there.
Right.
So you got to find that sweet spot of going fast enough to make your cut, but slow enough that you can make it a nice clean cut and not.
Goober it up.
Goober it up, bend your cutting wand, that type of stuff.
Exactly.
The faster you go, the more you bleed off the heat.
Yep.
Great. So we use the pink foam. So we have the 2 layers, and we actually I have a movie projector with a large screen downstairs, and we use that to put up a battle map of Rorke's Drift, and we use that as our guideline.
Nice reference.
Yeah. So I think we came pretty close. So then afterwards, we got, and then what we did to cover it with, we thought, do we do sculpt-a-mold? Do we just paint the pink foam? I wanted to give it some texture, and I wanted to be able to somehow put in terrain features without going crazy with, carving and all that stuff. So while I was at the Home Depot, I was in the paint section, obviously, and I came across canvas that you would, like a canvas drop cloth. They have different ones. I chose the one with the plastic backing because we use spray adhesive. We use the 3M spray adhesive, stuff that gets everywhere and it's sticky as hell. And, I can't glue anything without getting glue somewhere else. But because of the plastic backing, it adheres better to the surface without soaking into the cloth and maybe not sticking very well. So,
but the downside to that is it's not stretchable like normal cloth. It won't.
True.
You can't get it into the nooks and crannies as easy.
Yeah, so in some of the sharper, deeper cuts, it's hard to get the material in there to get it to stick because of, but I thought it turned out really nice.
It did.
Yeah, it did.
And we used some movie magic, if you will. This is something I learned from watching some movie magic FX videos. Spray paint. It takes different colors of different spray paint, and you spray in your shadows and your highlights onto the cloth, and it brings out the terrain. So I thought that turned out really nice.
It did. It's much like any miniature piece of terrain that we would do. We're not applying a wash to it per se, but where you would paint in your shadows and your highlights. Well, we're just doing the same thing on a 8x6 board, and it really made a difference. It really makes it pop. It draws your eye to where there's cliffs and crevices and whatnot. So that was a pretty effective technique, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very effective. We all got a good contact.
Public safety announcement: do that in a well-ventilated area.
Yeah. So yeah, because we were spray painting adhesive, and all those fumes in a confined space
in the basement. Yeah.
Yeah. So
we were in a great mood when it was done.
yeah. So we got the base done. We got the ground done. We did our contouring, and then I'm looking at this board, and I'm like, there's this huge open space, right, in the one corner, behind the compound.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's got to be something there. It's just too open. And I know from that area in South Africa, it wasn't a giant plain. It was almost like a valley, if you will.
Yeah, it was hill country.
Yeah. So I'm like, and we know that Uskerberg, I believe is how it's pronounced, mountain, is where the Zulu riflemen set up to shoot into the compound.
Yep.
And originally we were going to have them off board, right? And I'm like, we got too much space. So I said to Marty, let's build us a mountain. And so Marty went to carving and hacking and
Cranked one out. Yep. Looks good. I mean, obviously, we're modeling here, terrain for gaming. So it's not to scale, and it's probably way too close. But it looks pretty good, and it will serve the purpose that we need it to for the game.
Right. So I am just doing some quick settings here, and we're at the table talking. Back camera. I want the back camera. How do I get the back? I don't want this stupid. So yeah, we're doing some final. Sorry guys, I don't mean to be. I want 1080.
I don't know what he's doing. So
well, I'm trying to get it so you can kind of jump along with us here as we, No, we don't want to do that. That's stupid. All right. Okay. I was hoping to get the camera to be wide angle instead of vertical. I want it horizontal. But if I do... Oh, no, maybe I can. Let's see. Let's see. Yes, it does.
Sure it says.
And we're going live in 3, 2, 1.
Yay.
Okay. So now I'm going to be Mr. Shaky, Shaky, Shaky. You can see me in the mirror. We're in my game room. As it is right now. The beef eater in the back there.
Beef it up.
That's Gaz. Hi, Gaz.
Hi, Gaz. Gaz, love your show.
Right. So, join along with us as we record our show. And there's Marty working away on some Brits, our defenders. So, also, and there's Chris.
Not painting anything.
Shocker.
There's Miney. And there's the game table out there in the other area. Okay. So, I should have brought down my other mount. Anyway.
That's what she said.
That's what you said. All right, so. Anyway. All right, I'm going to move this camera over. Yeah.
He said.
I know. You guys couldn't while I'm dead airing. All right. Sorry about that. I don't know if you can see me, but I'm right there. And you can see Marty and Chris. I know you can't see them. All right. So anyway, you let the moot lay out. All right. So we got the table done. Marty did some foam work. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 levels high. And then we used the canvas trick again.
Yep, so it would blend in with the rest of the terrain.
Yep. And then we did some movie magic paintwork, and it looks freaking awesome.
Yeah, we did that in what, like
An
20
hour.
minutes?
An hour.
The mountain itself?
Yeah, about an hour. We're all said and done. It probably was an hour, closer to an hour.
I mean, that got fleshed out really quick. And Miney is in the house.
She wanted to make an entrance.
The joys of having a large dog that can apparently open doors.
She ain't no dummy. Anyway, so the table's ready to go. Added a little bit of vegetation, in some areas, painted the road. But, we know where the battle mainly takes place, and that's in and around the compound.
Great.
So, Chris,
Yes.
what rules are we going to use?
We will be using the Men Who Would Be Kings.
And you could show the camera.
Oh, yeah, we got the camera up today.
So, guys, I do not have another monitor to check chat. If you're chatting, I don't know if Chris or Marty can jump on their phone to either restream chat, or if you would just one on Facebook, one on YouTube, just make sure you turn your volumes down so we don't have feedback.
So this rule set is Colonial Wargaming Rules by Osprey Wargames.
Yes. So, did you print that stuff, by the way?
Yes, I did.
Woo! All right.
And he laminated it for me.
Nice!
Matter of fact,
So we are going to use the...
Since we've got there for show and tell.
Nice. So we are using the Men Who Would Be Kings modified version of Jerry from Beasts of War rules. Okay, and I think we're going to actually tweak it a little bit more, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But when I played this game 3 years ago now, 2019, I think is when we played it. I think it was 3 years.
Was it 9?
It wasn't last year.
Or 19?
I think it was 19.
Yeah.
At Beast of War headquarters, we use Jerry's rules, where it's a card-driven activation, and you have these really nicely done work. So the game itself is going to be 12 turns, okay, and 1 hour per turn.
Yep, right. Yep.
Because the battle theoretically lasted 12 hours. It started at 4 p.m. and ended at approximately 5 a.m. When the sun started coming up. Because
It would be 13 hours, by the way, but go ahead.
All right, 4 a.m., but you're right. But if you, depending on which book you read, they say it ended somewhere between 4 and 5. Okay. So the amazing feat of this battle is that the British soldiers in the fort, there was depending on the resource you go to, it's anywhere from 160 to 130, 40 guys, right? Actual historical records that I've read, 139 defenders.
Yep.
There were 139 British soldiers and allies within the compound of Rorke's Drift defending against 4,000 Zulus. So, and it took over 12-ish hours. They started out with 20,000 rounds of British ammunition. I don't know what the caliber. I don't think it was 303, but the Martini rifles, Martini Henry rifles, however you pronounce it. I can't.
Yeah, fortunately, the mission was also a
supply,
ammunition depot.
Yeah. So they started out with 20,000 rounds, and by the end of the battle, they were down to somewhere between 500 to 900 rounds left. They would not have survived another attack. That's pretty blatantly. If the Zulu leaders had just amassed all their remaining troops, 3,500 after casualties, and just swarmed the compound, it would have been over. But by that time, I think the Zulu leaders decided it wasn't worth it anymore.
They got tired of that volley fire. It was wearing them out.
Right.
But they couldn't have kept that volley fire up. If the Zulus had only known how much ammunition was left, this would be a way different day in history.
Yeah, but also supposedly the relief column was within sight as well, or whatever. The scouts.
Yeah.
So I mean, the Zulus knew that help was a coming, right? So anyway, we will be doing that. Was the timeline in the stuff you printed? Did Jerry's timeline show in there? If not, that's no big deal. Because there's a timeline that says that at 1800 hours the hospital catches on fire. Or what each turn there's something that happens.
We did not print that portion. I don't believe.
All right,
I didn't see that portion.
I don't remember seeing it, but he showed it off in the Weekender last night. So I don't know if that's something new. I couldn't remember that from previous, but so we're gonna do our own take on Rorke's Drift. It is my favorite Battle 2 game. It for many reasons. One, the movie.
Well, yeah.
It's one of the first movies I remember watching with my dad when I was a very young person.
It was Michael Caine's
First
real role,
Yep.
yeah.
So,
And introducing
Michael Caine. So, and then we have our in-house impersonator of Color Sergeant Bourne.
That's right. Steady, lads. Steady.
He's even got the.
It's got the facial hair.
That's right. And yet, I'm going to be a Zulu commander later today. Weird.
Button your tunic, all that good stuff. It's amazing how even in the heat of battle, the British were still proper, So, anyway, we are trying to get up to 400 Zulu miniatures. So we can have one miniature per 100 guys, right? Since they equate 4,000. So, what is this?
That's Michael. He said he might need another invite for his call.
Okay. Well, I can't.
Yeah.
We'll pick him up on the next show. I'll just pick him up on the next show. We'll get him on the next one. Just tell him I'm already 20 minutes in, so.
All
right. Anyway, so there's that. We talked about what we're doing next. Moving away from colonial England to the 20th century. Our next project, which I actually think is going to be easier, quote unquote, it's a blue mat, right? And we'll put a couple islands and stuff in there. We're doing the Battle of Midway.
Yep.
So, naval warfare. So, the way we're designing it is that there will be two tables. There'll be the Admiral's table and then the battle table. The Admiral's table will be a larger scale. It'll be that entire grid of the search area, which was how many thousands of square miles?
Lots.
Right? So, we'll have little tokens to represent the different fleets and targets and whatever, and little representations of the islands. And that'll be where everybody starts the game out as we search for... So the other question I have, if we're using an Admiral's table to do this enemy searching for each enemy, how do we do movement that the other player doesn't see it? Do we have
would it be two Admiral's tables?
With a or an Admiral's table with a division? Or no, it'd have to be mirror each other, wouldn't it? Right?
Yes, yeah.
Two sink your battleship games.
Right?
Yep, right. Yeah. Done.
A10. Can you do me a favor? Can you message Dawn and let her know? The door upstairs is probably closed. So, yeah, we have to come up with how are we going to simulate the fog of war for the Battle of Midway.
All we got to do is spray paint down here again. That was working pretty well last weekend.
So, yeah. So we'll have to figure that out. Or do we have, giant chart plotter type pads that each one does their movement on the pad, and then we have a judge that would say, oh, you're within whatever, and now we put it on the Admiral's table. There's a target sighted, and then we have to try and confirm it, and then once it's confirmed, we can say this is this fleet or this fleet. We'll have to work those out, but those are things to start thinking about now, because I want to simulate that big part of the Battle of Midway was where the hell are the Japanese fleet, right?
Well, yeah, because the long pole in that barn for that battle was whoever found the other one first.
Yeah.
Has the
we'll have the
best
advantage.
Yeah.
Because they'll be able to launch the aircraft and attack.
Yep.
So that'll be very interesting on how we do that one.
Any ideas? Post it.
Yeah, please. In the comments section or in Discord channel or anywhere, even on our website. You can comment on the website and throw something up there.
Yeah,
so.
if you played a game of that style before and you've got a system that you like or you think would work, please share that.
I mean, because I have Midway over there on the shelf over here under Avalon Hill Games. It's there, and I have Dauntless.
And we have a guest.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. You're on camera.
I realize that.
You're welcome.
Where's your collar? Come on.
Go get a greenie.
Come on.
So for you guys there in radio land,
We've got our
God.
first British casualties.
way to go, Marty.
Come on.
Marty, it was a dog.
Snapped his leg, oh.
You got a bunch.
Ooh.
How'd those fall?
The dog stepped.
No, mine he stomped on.
Why were they on the floor?
Well,
Because every time I move them around, they're on the mic. The good news is,
come on.
We got glue.
I brought spares, too.
Okay.
I can't do it.
All right, don't worry about it then. Thank you, though. All right, moving right along. We can fix it. Not a problem. Oh, broken rifle. I've got some upstairs, too.
I now, Bill, I would like to advise you that I have also brought some British wounded markers, apparently.
Nice. All right. So, finishing up on the Midway talk. So, we'll have to come up with a hidden movement system. I can't remember how we did it in the Battle of Midway game. It wasn't anything fancy. Believe me, it wasn't. I don't know where. Oh, it might be. Oh, it's right behind you. Right there on the game table. See Midway?
Yep.
So, it's I can't remember how I think it was literally you move around the table, and when you got within so many feet, miles of the other navy is when you spotted them. Then you went to the battle boards, right? So you were both playing on the same table. It was just literally chess, if you would.
Yeah, at the beginning,
Yeah. So yeah, that's the movement table there.
It looks.
Looks
just
like Battleship.
It does.
It is
Yeah.
Battleship.
And then
Holy
this is
crap.
the battle board where you play aircraft attacking the ships. So we bought. So I bought files to print our own ships. You know, we talked about that, I think, on the last podcast.
Yep.
Did you know that the Victory at Sea set, or Victory in the Pacific, which one is it? Victory in the Pacific or Victory at Sea? The Warlord.
Victory at Sea, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's the series, but isn't it the Victory? at
Well,
Sea
there's the
Pacific?
Warlord miniatures game. Those are still the same scale as those other boats.
Right.
I didn't realize that. I thought they were a different scale. I'm like, damn, I could. But they don't have the boats we need. Ships, excuse me, Navy guys. They don't have the ships we need. So we'll just print them. I mean, with my new printer, things print like it's unbelievable how fast that thing prints.
Well, yeah, and I think you can print out an actual
Fleet?
battleship, 1-to-1 size on that thing.
It's not that big, but that would be cool. So, and I did tell Dawn I wanted to get another one, and boy, did I get a look. Woo.
Yeah, we saw that.
Right?
So,
Now, if we're gonna do this right, we wait till spring and then we do it in the pool.
that would be interesting. No, because then we'd have to do like explosions, and that would blow out the liner in the pool. And
Oh, we are not doing that again. No, sir.
and Marty knows what it takes to replace the liner in a big old pool.
That thing is a beast. Yeah.
Yeah. So guys out there, if you have any ideas on how we can do Fog of War hidden movement on an admiral size table, would be interesting, because I can't wait to see the miniatures on a battle table. Like this size or bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
that'll look really cool. And then having the planes and all that stuff. So now, obviously, the planes won't be to scale, because otherwise they'd be like pinheads.
Well, yeah. I mean,
So, but it'll be cool.
Right.
You could always use the thing like they do. What's that? Team Yankee, where the aircraft are 1 in 100 scale, or 1 in. They're a different scale.
yeah, they're like 144 or something.
Yeah,
like
144 than the tanks, and their thing is they're up in the sky, so they're smaller.
I was gonna say it's supposed to be like a forced perspective thing because they're flying.
And Unfortunately, I think that's a weak excuse,
Well,
personally.
Well, whatever. You gotta have some little airplanes.
Right,
I mean,
we're going to have lots of airplanes.
Yeah.
It's Midway.
But you can't have them to scale because, well, like you said, they'll be the size of a pinhead.
Right.
You know, so yeah. Oddly enough, so as I paint, I have YouTube on usually, and it's just something in the background, and I just let it run. It goes to whatever the next video is. And the other night, I was painting, and Mel the Terrain Tutor's scale episode came on, where he talked about all the different all the different scales in modeling and in our hobbies. And he was talking about what is it? Absolute scale, where it is 1 to whatever, and then our modeling scales where we talk about it's the 28 millimeter scale or 15 millimeter scale, as well as then there's the railroad scales for N, Z, H, O, O, all those.
Right.
And what did he call it? No, I can't remember what he called it. There's where you essentially you have to mix scales in order to be able to game. So, like, if you're playing in 28 mil, for instance, your buildings and vehicles will probably not be truly 28 millimeter. There'll be a different scale for gaming purposes, because otherwise they just suck up your whole table. He said, as long as your buildings, doors and windows need to be 28 mil, but the building itself, maybe it's 1 to 48, maybe it's 1 to 50, maybe it's 1 to 56.
Right.
But that gets you in the ballpark. Same thing with vehicles. You get the point that the little vehicle is what your guys are going to be, either attacking, riding around in, whatever. But again, this isn't scale modeling diorama stuff. It's gaming, and we have to be able to facilitate our games, and sometimes that means that we're mixing scales.
Yeah.
120, 121, whatever.
Whatever it takes.
So depending on the size of the board, you might want to have different scale buildings. What are you looking for?
Glue.
He was going to try and do surgery.
You can have Dawn bring you some down there, some right on the table there.
I already called her down here once for nothing, so I'm not going to do it again.
Chicken.
Because I don't think I have any more sitting right
That's
here
all
in
right.
the studio. But because I was watching a video last night as we were getting ready for bed on the build of Minas Tirith. The full blown. I'm building Minas Tirith.
The
Zorga.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Lucky.
So then, of course, my loving wife comes to me and goes, is there any way SitRep can incorporate this into its stuff? Because that would be cool. And I'm like, are you saying the stuff we do is not cool? She's like, me and historicals. And I'm like, that's kind of harsh. But however, but if you go off the Tolkien timeline, is that not historical? It has a timeline. In the Third Age, blah, blah, blah. Jim's probably sitting there right now going,
I was going to say, all the historical geeks are losing their minds right now. Although, it's kind of funny that, you also get a lot of crossover. Just because dudes play historical, and that might be their preferred thing. Even at like Little Wars, which is our local, sponsored by our local chapter of the Historical Miniature Wargaming Society.
Yep.
They had a couple of sci-fi games in there. Because the guys like to play it. Hi, Kevin.
Right? Speaking of it, I saw that the a little bit of news. I know you haven't had time this week to get news together. I did see Little Wars put up a thing looking for submissions, right, or event tickets or something like that.
Yeah, so they opened up submissions for games and game masters, and did they change location?
They're no longer at the Lombard Sheraton.
They're in Naperville this year.
They're
right?
at the same place that Polar Vortex is this year.
Which, by the way, Polar Vortex
weekend.
is right now as we speak. It just started today.
And to Dan, I'm sorry you didn't invite me. Dan, I would have loved a personal invite for the SitRep podcast crew to come out to Polar Vortex. However, unfortunately, my friend, Rorke's Drift, on the anniversary is kind of going to trump that one a little bit. I hate to say it, but that is.
Although
we could have sent a roving reporter.
Well, here's my question.
Yes.
Do they have any historical gaming there?
They did have some bolt action last time I was there, and they played Dust.
I mean, yeah. And Dust is, well, Dust would be alternative history.
Right.
And Jeff, good job, buddy. Jeff Racco, our local Chicago area Dust Warfare patriot, is running Dust games today there.
Yep.
But, yeah, I don't know what straight up historical they're running.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't look at the program.
So is today the first day we've had Polar Vortex since last time you and I went?
Yeah.
So up until today, you've been the reigning...
I am still currently the reigning
historical
painting champion for...
How did that happen?
Nobody else had an entry that qualified for historical. Hey, however, I did get 3rd overall, so I did have to beat some people. Thank you very much. Thank you. And by the way, there were Dust miniatures that
you had played with all day.
Yeah, and I mean, that was early on in my career. I mean, like,
Yeah. I think it was your first year. You really got it back into playing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and
because that was the last Adepticon, wasn't it? Because you had just gone to Adepticon, got your Dust stuff,
right,
and then Polar Vortex was the following, and that was right before COVID blew up.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but it was just tabletop stuff that I had, and some of the guys were like, "Oh, that's pretty good. You should go put that in there." And I'm like, "Nah." And then I went over there and looked. I'm like, "Oh, there's like no competition." As it turned out, there was no competition.
And Marty likes no competition.
I'm like,
well, it's an easy way to win, right?
I got this. But like
you know what, though? It's a good way to get your foot in the water, per se, you know?
Well, and it was kind of motivating, though. Because I think everybody thinks of their own personal skill. Either they overestimate what it is and think they're a lot better than they are.
And that happens more often than not.
Or they underestimate it and they're like, oh, everything I touch is crap. I don't want to show these to anybody, blah, blah, blah.
That's me.
And then, now you have some outside people who are, actually judging it, who are, seasoned veteran hobbyists and painters. And they're like, okay, this is what we think. And then you get some feedback on like, dude, you got to scrape those mold lines. And I'm like, dude, these are these were never meant to be competition pieces. I concur. I should have done that.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of it comes down to, if you've never been in any kind of painting competition, is you just get in, learn the ins and outs of the competitions. You kind of learn what people look for and type of things, and it makes you, if it's something you want to continue doing, it makes you up your game.
Well, and I think that kind of the way I did it, it's a soft place to land. It's a smaller event. Your friendly local game store probably does this on occasion.
Yeah.
That's a great place to go. And, if it costs you anything, it's minimal.
Yeah.
And usually if there's a cost associated with it, that's because either, one, it's tied to a fundraising event for like charity, or two, that's how they're paying for the prizes.
Yeah.
But nobody makes money off a painting competition,
right?
Here. At least not at that level. I don't know if that Golden Demon or something.
Yeah. So the Golden Demon's back at Adepticon.
Yes.
Which is a good competition. However, it knocks out 70% of the painters.
Yeah. Well,
because you can only use GW products.
Right.
So everybody that does some of those beautiful historical or fantasy stuff that's not GW, can't be in it.
That was the nice thing about Crystal Brush.
Yeah, it was everything and anything.
Right? It's like here's your rubric, and we don't care where you get your models from.
Yeah, but I do know a couple other companies are supposedly doing their own painting competition there, which will include those other people.
Yeah.
We'll have to just kind of say. If my brother was here, he's going to join us for the game later, but. He'd be all about the GW. I don't want to say he's a GW fanboy, but that's all he plays. I mean, honestly.
Well,
as far as I know. He is going to come and play Zulu with us, which is cool.
Well, we all have our go-to favorite games.
Yeah, and that's fine. You know what? And there's GW haters and there's fanboys. I'm in the middle. I don't really care, one way or the other. If it's what you like to play, play it. And if you don't want to,
The other way. Mary, the other way.
I'm trying to point away from a mic, but there's mics everywhere I look.
So I mean, and I don't see why people are complaining about, oh my God, GW stuff is so expensive.
It is.
So don't pay for it.
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, but you have a choice.
Yeah, no one's making you buy it.
Right.
So if you don't want to play it and don't want to pay the money, don't buy it or go buy secondhand.
Yeah. Well, and I'm very much like you. No, I'm not a GW fanboy. I don't play any of their games, although we need to get Lord of the Rings going.
All right.
But they have some really, really nice models.
They do.
I mean, there's no denying that. I mean, they have some super high quality products.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're quite proud of them, judging
Yes.
by the prices. So it can be, pretty expensive. That'll add up quickly, as you try to build your armies. But if you're playing one of their smaller warband games, probably not horrible to get into.
Yep. Now, my problem with the GW stuff is not so much the cost of the models, which they are pricey, but hey, it is what it is. You get quality stuff. It's the fact that they change the rules every 15 minutes.
Yeah, they do
They're-
seem to like to update their.
And those rules
Must be on the other
are
side.
not cheap.
Well,
At all.
Not at all.
Specifically for 40K, yes. I mean, they're on 9th edition now, and the other thing I don't like about that system is not only do they change the rules, but you have to have a codex and an index and a reflex and a bowflex and you got to have like 9 books to play your one army.
Yeah, you gotta have a codex and then the main rules
And-
yeah.
And you can't know all the rules.
Right. Well, and then the other guy's got a different army.
Yeah.
He's got to have all those books as well. And if you want to know what his army really does, you have to know what's in those books.
Yeah.
I'm like, I am not buying the entire black library of codexes to play a game because those books aren't cheap either. They're proud of
No.
those as well.
I was looking for I have somewhere around here Warhammer historicals. They used to make historical rules.
Oh, cool.
Could you imagine if they got back into producing historical games and models?
Wow.
Yeah.
That could be interesting, right?
Yeah.
I mean, would people buy them, for one thing? How would that affect other manufacturers if they came out with the same quality of their minis, that they currently do in historicals? It'd be interesting. I mean,
It would be because I mean they're a big company and so many of the particularly so many of the miniature makers in the historical realm are actually smaller businesses. Some of them are just mom and pop shops. I mean,
well, and that's the thing. That's why I think Games Workshop got out of it originally, is there wasn't the money in historicals, right? Historicals is not the big money maker. Sci-fi is, truthfully.
Yeah.
If you look at a historical gaming convention, what is the demographic, right?
it's us.
Yeah, it's us.
We were
Old
talking
guys,
about that last time.
We talked about this, I think, at Little Wars last year, right?
Yeah.
We talked about how do you get younger people in there. But so it's a more limited. I mean, miniature wargaming in of itself is limited as it is.
Yeah.
Then you scale it down to historicals,
Yep.
and then it's even smaller market. And is it worth the time and money to invest in printing and mold making and all that stuff you got to do to create a miniature? I'm going to be honest with you. For historical stuff, and I love Warlord stuff's nice.
Yep.
Empress is really nice.
Yep.
Spectre stuff is nice.
Spectre, yeah.
The stuff that's coming out from Black Powder Red Earth is looking good. Ultra Combat Modern, Dish Dash guys.
Yeah.
White Dragon. We reached out to the guys at White Dragon. I guess they're going to send us a few things for review. I cannot wait to see those because I do have a few of their models and they're really nice.
Yeah.
Really.
Well, nowadays, everything, if it's being sold, pretty much has to be nice because you can print so much on your own.
I mean, you look at these guys in front of us,
Well,
if you're looking on the video portion or if you watch the game later, most of the miniatures on the table are 3D printed. We printed them on our printer. There's a few that are Warlord or Perry miniatures, and you'll be able to tell the difference. But
we're just taking the time
90%.
with those.
Yeah, they'll be metal.
Well, I mean, some of these are Warlord miniatures.
the zoo.
Yeah, some of the Zulus are, and the metal I did not know this. The metal miniatures that come in the Horns of Buffalo Warlord set are actually Empress miniatures.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So, but 90% of what you'll see on the table in the game is 3D printed. I bought the files and we were able to print them up. Tremendous money saving because I think I can't remember what I paid. It wasn't a lot, $30 maybe. And we're producing 500 plus minis. You know, you can imagine.
That almost covers the cost of your new printer.
Easily. The new printer was $300. So I have saved, in my own selfish way, I have saved money versus going on. Because if you, current market price, a sprue of 8, was it 8 or 4? British soldiers from Warlord, a sprue, I think it was 4, is $16.
So $4 a miniature.
$4 a miniature.
I think there were 4 on there.
Yeah, $4 a miniature. And we were printing 139 plus, right? 4 times 139 is a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now,
So Don, he's trying to justify another printer.
Yeah. See, look at all the money he saved you.
and think of the Harry Potter stuff we could print. I got to throw the Harry Potter angle in there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But to be fair to all my friends in the industry, you know, Big Ben over there at Foreground, Ian and everybody, John Stollard over at Warlord and all those guys.
Chris Long.
And Chris Long, you know, Chris Long's a 3D printer. He's not a manufacturer. Yeah. I'm talking about the guys that actually print or create and mold make minis, you know, and sell it. That's their livelihood, right? I totally get it. Sooner or later, my theory is those companies are going to transition to subscription-based 3D modeling, where somehow they're going to technology's going to get to the point where they can create a file that allows you to print 30 minis and then the file locks up, or I don't know, you're the computer guy.
Some sort of digital race management DRM on it.
Yeah. So, because otherwise you won't be able to survive. You buy it once and then, you know, who needs it, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because and you know there's many kind of independent sculptors, I think, that already do that through Patreon or through Tribes on My Manufacturer or whatever. But as you said, once you've downloaded that file, you've downloaded that file. You can
Print
use it
as many as you want.
Right.
Hence what we've done. So, you know, for sustainability, you know, and now there's still a lot of people out there that say, I don't want to mess with 3D printing, which is fine. I actually had a discussion with Tom Tullis from Fat Dragon Games the other day because he got a new Ender 3 FDM printer. And, you know, and he printed up a sample mini, and it looks amazing. And I'm like, you know, that's great for an FDM printer. It's amazing what he can do on an FDM printer, mini-wise. And I said, you know, for miniatures, I prefer resin printers. And for big terrain pieces, I could see an FDM printer. And then he gave me this big, long reasoning to why he will never have a resin printer. Fumes and toxicity, and somebody got sick, and da-da-da-da-da-da, right? Well, to which he has valid points. I'm not going to say he doesn't,
I've
because
never smelled anything off of the printer.
For resin printer,
Yeah, except
well, you
for
can't smell.
and it's not COVID.
Yeah, so there are strong fumes, no doubt about it, right?
But you can also get some eco-friendly resins where that is really.
I now use there's a lot of plant-based resins now. I have not used those, but I'm using a water washable resin now. That's what these guys are printed in. And it does amazing work. And in 4K, this is what, you know, that new printer is a 4K printer. Amazing work. I mean, really amazing work. I think the Zulus I printed are nicer than the Brits I printed as far as detail. But, yeah. So.
Yeah, the biggest fumes I've ever had to deal with was the isopropyl alcohol.
Yeah.
That's some strong stuff. Woo.
Yeah, and
Just get a bottle of Everclear.
Yeah, don't drink it all at once; it'll give you a headache.
Right. So
I don't know if it's the.
So I mean, to each their own. But I mean, there are still going to be people out there that don't want to or can't have a printer. So I mean, there'll still be demand somewhere. I just don't know what it'll look like in years to come.
You know, and I think that there's probably still going to be a demand at some level for metal miniatures. Whether it's just the nostalgia of it, people prefer the weight of them. There's folks that are still going to want those. Well, there's only one way to get those, and that's casting them. And,
Right.
And those will have to be manufactured by somebody who has the ability to cast.
Right.
That's not a at-home cottage industry DIY kind of thing. That's a little more involved.
Exactly.
Although our good friend Chris Long apparently has 2 spin casters as well.
Yeah, because he actually used to make metal miniatures.
I think he just likes to flex on me every time I mention something. That's what I really think it is.
So,
But yeah, no, I mean, while the technology for 3D printing is readily available,
easily.
Yeah,
I mean, it's so inexpensive these days.
I mean, if you have an Amazon account, they're sending you emails to buy stuff.
Yeah.
Because they've been sending me emails to, hey, get this washing cure, get this printer. Hey, have you looked at this resin?
Yeah.
I mean, I get an email every other day, literally, from Amazon with something along those lines.
I mean, even my Photon frozen printer, the small one I have, I think you can get it under $100 now. I think it's on sale for less than $100 for a little resin printer. So.
Cause and then you can get the bundles with that and the washing cure station, and they're like $200.
Yeah.
$250, something like
Yeah,
that.
so
they're inexpensive.
And then it's just a matter of getting the right software, because like these riflemen that Marty's painting up right now, these British riflemen, they came in 2 pieces, the main body and then the rifle with an arm. And I'm like, man, I am not going to print those separately, because one, the rifles will break, trying to pull them off the supports. So I went in there and I edited the file, and using a very inexpensive CAD, can't even remember what it's called. It wasn't Tinkercad, it was something else. I need to learn Blender. I am here. You can do some amazing things in Blender, but I was able to combine the 2 parts into one miniature, and then resave it as one piece, and then just copy it onto the build platform and print multiples up.
Yeah, thanks a lot. You said Blender. Now I want a margarita.
We'll bring out the Jimmy Buffett margarita machine later.
I was gonna say after the show.
When has that ever stopped us? So. One of the things we forgot to talk about, or forgot to come back to when we were talking about the rules that we're using for today, is there's one thing that was in the movie. I don't know how historically accurate the movie is, obviously. There's a lot of artistic interpretation, because who knows what they really said. Do you think Shard and Brom really had a discussion on their date of ranks and, enlistment dates, and to find out who's going to be, in charge? And by the way, they got their ranks wrong, the dates wrong in the movie, if you read the actual service records. But the point is that that was pretty cool that they did that. Did they actually have those conversations? So obviously there's some artistic licensing, because there's not a scribe writing down everything that was said during the battles. So the point being is, did they actually have a flying platoon? Right?
Yep.
So as of it stands right now, I do not think there are any rules for flying platoon in the main rulebook or in Jerry's alterations or additions. So we'll probably add a rule for flying platoon. We just have to figure out how to make it fair, because you have to come to close order, volley fire, how does that go? One of the biggest frustrations I had when we played the game the first time, and again, the rules are really well, I thought for the circumstances, very good. And Jerry's interpretation and additions were very good as well. The one thing that kind of really drove home for me was that each turn takes 1 hour. So in that 1 hour time span of one turn, you're only allowed to shoot once or move. I know I wasn't in the British Army in 1879, but from practical experience, you can do a whole lot in 1 hour. You can do a lot less in 1 hour if you're under fire and you're moving. You move slow and, fire movement, blah, blah, blah. But I think, for gameplay purposes, that's that. There were times where we were playing the game and it's like, all right, I should be able to move and fire, right? move these guys up, move guys from the north wall to the south wall to reinforce, and then be able to shoot. Oh, no, you can't do that. It's just one or the other. This is what you get to do. And I'm like, dude, it's an hour. It's not that far from the north wall to the south wall, right?
You're right.
So, and these are British troops. If you've ever worked with British troops, those guys don't fuck around. When they say move, they're already gone. Their sergeants are allowed to hit you.
It should be.
Right? I mean, I don't know if they're allowed to, but I mean,
But
they
will.
strongly reinforce. I have seen airborne sergeants from the para regiment smack a troop in the back of the head because he, did something very, very wrong with his rifle.
It's called tapping on the forward.
Yeah, that's just a tap on the forward assist. It's part of immediate action when there's a malfunction.
Right? And hey, make sure you buy merch. So that's always been a contention of mine, is that the Zulus, I can understand. See, this is where it gets not fair in my eyes, but fair, is that it's the same thing for the Zulus, right? They can move so many inches, and but I'm talking a stand of, if we have our 10 model stand, that's 400 guys, right?
Yep.
Okay, it might take 400 guys a while to move everybody, So I don't know. We'll play the game. We'll see how it goes. And we are famous for what, Marty?
Adjusting on fly.
Well, sometimes you have to modify the rules to suit the scenario.
Hence Benghazi.
Well, one of the
But I
things
thought it turned out well.
as I was reading through this,
Yeah.
and watching some of the videos, there's a gentleman out there put out some videos, and for the life of me, I can't remember it. Remember his name. Good stuff though. But some of the battles that he played with the Zulus, they get pinned down so easy. If you lose 6 miniatures, right? It's leadership plus the however many miniatures you lost.
Right.
So you got 400 guys that got pinned down because they lost 6 guys. And that doesn't look anything like what we saw.
Right.
They had one outfit out there just getting shot just to count the weapons. Remember?
Right. Yeah.
So that seems a little off. I understand it, but
For balance, play balance, you got to have that, because otherwise you would never be able to stop the Zulus, truthfully. Because if you're doing a stand of 10 and you shoot down 6, you pin them, and that's supposed to represent how many hundreds of Zulus, but you still have hundreds more to go. Then it's like, if you can't pin them, or it's not so much pinning, it's making them fall back. Think of it that way. They take
you fall back if you lose your rally.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're pinned that many guys, I think the terminology and the practicality or the real world is a little different, but it comes down to balance, game balance.
Yeah.
Otherwise the game would be over in turn 2, turn 3 at the most. Because they would just keep pouring through.
As we plan on.
Yeah. So the nice thing is the rifles have a lot longer range than the Zulus can run. So now, don't get me wrong, Zulus run very fast, very far. But the bullet will travel faster and further.
We don't have to worry about that. The Zulus will be running towards them because they're going to take their little stabby spears and put it in your eye.
So speaking of stabby spears, so last night I printed up a couple sets of spears. I think I can do 30-something sets on a board on my print surface. So I take a couple off, and I'm like, okay, they don't freaking fit. They don't fit. They don't fit.
The hell?
Yeah. The holes in the hand grip, wherever, not big enough.
Note to self: next time, just print them with their spears.
Right. So we may not have spears on the models. I mean, the workaround is we break all the spears off the supports, and
there'll be at least one spear there. Sorry, forgot about that.
But and we can hot glue them to their hand, but it might look just wonky. I don't know.
Toothpicks.
Toothpicks are too big. I tried.
I was gonna say those will be too big.
They're too big.
Even the one of the pointy ones.
Yeah, they're too big. So.
Because
note to self: next time, print them with the fucking. Sorry, guys, with the spears on them.
And
which was what I was
toothpicks
supposed
are
to
not 28 millimeter.
Right. I mean, and that's what I was supposed to do the last time.
Field expediency.
So,
Thin paper clip.
too big. You would almost need like a sewing needle.
Ouch. That'd be stabby.
I was gonna say that's got trouble written all over it. We don't need something that actually has a sharp point on it. Every time we go to move the models,
So, I mean, but when you look at the model, I'm looking at them right now, and Jesus, that's a lot of guys. And, when you're in the game, you're not going to really tell. I mean,
well, and
it's a visual thing, really.
and all the Warlord ones that I've got all have their weapon. I was gonna say spears. They don't all have spears because some also have hatchets or tomahawks or axes, whatever they are.
Yeah.
They're
There's some
Navy Burrow clubs.
yeah. There's some dudes with clubs as well, and then some dudes with rifles. So
Yeah.
there's a variety of weapons there.
So, it is what it is. I mean, really, it's just an excuse to get a whole bunch of minis on the table and play an awesome game, and be able to play it on the day in history.
Yeah, and I think that we'll be able to accomplish that feat. So there's certainly enough there to fill the table and immerse yourself in the game. I think.
Yeah, most definitely.
And hopefully we won't be taking 13 hours to do it.
I can't remember how long it took us to play the game. But you know what? I was talking to Dawn about that. It took us a long time. I mean, we started... What time did we start? Around noon? 1 o'clock? And we got done 10, 11 at night. But there was a lot of grab-assing going on. And there was also a lot of people playing, So I think we started out, we had 4 or 5 guys on each side playing.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So, the more players you have, the longer it takes because everybody's got to think and they got to do their turn and blah, blah, blah. So,
How many pints did you have?
actually, I didn't really
That many,
drink during the game. We went to the pub afterwards, but during the game, we didn't. Shout out to Turf and Surf in Coleraine, Ireland. Amazing hamburgers. That's where we eat. It's amazing food. No, we went to Spoons after Weatherspoons. For those over there, you know what that is. We went to Weatherspoons afterwards and had drinks. So it was a good time. Very good time. Can't wait to be able to go back over and do it again. So, yeah, we'll play it and see how it goes, and we'll go from there. And guys, I don't know the format of I don't think we're just going to let a video camera run. That might just be boring.
No, I was gonna say I think the game's going to be way too long.
Yeah.
to
So
do
what
a
we
long
might do
format.
is like a turn to turn. This is what happened in turn 1. This is what happened in turn 2. We'll do an introduction, and then I'll probably meld those all together into a final video to release after editing and such.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, probably more better.
yeah,
We'll do a little summary. what
exactly.
happened, and then go from there.
So today, believe it or not, guys, we're actually going to do a project I said we were going to do months ago. I know there were doubts. Just
On time, even.
and on time. So,
And if I get this done, painted.
so then we'll work on Midway,
Yep.
and then somebody said, "Well, what are you going to do in the meantime?" I mean, June's 6 months away. It's not going to take you 6 months to build Midway. No,
Well, we have to do the croupier sticks and
Well-
the mics.
I was gonna say we gotta order some stuff. We gotta build our sink.
So, well, we have Black Powder, Red Earth to review. So we'll crack
Yep.
out. We'll probably bring out our demo table and just do a quick, review on it.
We also have Adepticon,
Yeah.
Yeah. As well as Little Wars. Our local one will be
Yeah.
a couple weeks after that.
Yep. So, Still got to do a review on the Army Painter airbrush sets. I used those yesterday. So far, so good. I'll let you know what I really think.
So here is a little news tidbit that I did catch, though, because you said Army Painter, and it reminded me of it. So their speed paints are going to be released in February.
Mm-hmm. Well, because all the big channels have already gotten their demo sets, and they're showing off videos of them using the speed paints. And so far, everybody likes them better than contrast paints.
Well, even if you don't like because what channel was it? Squidmark had kind of mixed reviews on that, but at half the price of contrast paints, he was willing to be mixed about his review. He still recommended them. But anecdotally, the reviews that I've seen, most people seem to like them, and they really like the price point.
Yeah,
and the guys from Army Painter may they may really be onto something. One of the things, one of the critiques that I've heard is that the line of colors is limited right now, which one, it's brand new, so maybe it is, maybe it isn't. They still have their mega set of like 60 colors.
Here's the truth of it is, I have the mega set, the one that includes every color that Army Painter has.
Yep, same here.
And
don't know why, but
exactly. And I'll be truthful, I bought it because it's like awesome. I want to have this. I'm gonna have every color.
And you use 10 of them.
And I literally probably use 20 at the most. There are colors I've never even opened, right? And I'm like,
nice
when am I gonna? It is, but see, part of the problem is that I don't do a lot of fantasy and sci-fi stuff where you could use a lot of those colors.
Turns out you don't need metallic mauve,
right?
Or whatever.
Because of the style of painting I do, which is mostly historicals. Now, even if I did Napoleonics, there are a lot of colors I will never touch because they're just not used. Now, if I go into sci-fi or fantasy, then hell yeah, I'll paint crap like, just the weirdest colors ever. Speaking of sci-fi and stuff, my brother is a 40K player, like I said before, and he would like me to play, and I've never really truly played the game. I have 8th or 9th edition sitting over there that I've never even opened. Go figure. And
shocker.
I have Tau. I like Tau. I like the battle suits. I like that mechanical stuff, right?
Yep.
So, I'm looking at the paint schemes, and I'm going, well, I don't want white under the traditional Tau color scheme. And then
Stormtroopers?
Yeah, kind of like Stormtrooper-ish. And then somebody painted theirs blackish or red or something. I'm going tiger stripes. Vietnam tiger stripes.
There you go.
You're a glutton for punishment with that pattern, though.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it wouldn't look cool, but that's a lot of work, brother.
Yeah.
And thank God for airbrushes.
And since you talk about, the painting and stuff we were talking about earlier about the competitions, one of Marty's friends, you're like, hey, I want to get in painting, and then you look at his stuff.
Oh yeah. So, guy that I go to church with, Steve Herner. Hey, Steve. I say that like he'll ever listen to this. But hey, Steve, that's Mr. Herner to you.
Holy Hammer Herner.
He hates being called Mr. Herner. That's my dad. But
incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Steve is he's a high level hobbyist, and he runs 2 Age of Sigmar tournaments a year.
Mm-hmm.
So he runs Holy Hammer and Holy Havoc. Runs his screen name is Holy Hammer. It's Holy Wars and then Holy Hammer because it was literally a church league that got started. So
isn't that funny? A church sponsoring Age of Sigmar based upon deities of fantasy and yada yada yada.
But incredible. I mean,
you look at
his stuff is just.
But does that not drive you to do better yourself?
No.
Yep. I was gonna say
Pretty simple. No.
I mean,
I'm like, nope.
Like he has figured out like green stuff sculpting, which I can't do.
I can very well. I saw your Santa stuff.
Okay, nothing like what
Yeah, but I mean, this dude will do like long flowing cloaks.
Okay, but it was based upon practice. The
Yeah.
more you do it.
But that was to my point is like, he inspired me to do that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't do it well, but I'm like, well, apparently it can be done. You know, I've literally sat in his basement and watched him do it.
Yeah. So.
And then when they make it look so easy, that just kind of pisses me off.
But it comes with practice. What is, the theory repetition? Theory repetition is you become proficient at something when you've done it 100 times, right?
Yeah. It's kind of like if you want to get better at painting, you have to paint
100 times at least. And, that's why
or once or twice.
when I was coaching Virginia's softball team, and I made them just play catch, and I need 100 throws. Why am I doing this? The theory of repetition.
Mm-hmm.
The more you do it, the more proficient you become, the better you become at it, your hand-eye coordination, etc. Blah blah blah.
Muscle memory, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, build up myelination, get those neural pathways set.
Let's talk about something even cooler. We're going to change gears here a little bit. It's still
Guns?
war game related, historical wargaming.
Laser printing?
Guns?
For laser engraving?
No.
Oh.
You want to talk about laser engraver? I mean, you cut the bases for our games today.
Yeah.
Yep.
You did
Bunch.
circles and rectangles and squares
And shields?
and shields. Shields?
Full size shield. It's out in the truck still.
You used that laser cutter on that?
Yes.
Yeah. That's how big the laser cutter is.
Damn.
2 foot by 4 foot.
Because this shield is about 3'4" tall.
Wow. I didn't know you used the laser cutter.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
How cool is that?
It took me a lot longer to
Because
draw
I asked.
the thing than it did to
I
print
bet.
it.
So, did you do some artwork like the outline, like the cow skin patches?
No.
No.
No, so we just used this as the base, and then I covered it with faux leather and
Oh, nice.
Painted all that stuff.
Oh,
on
very
it.
cool. That'll be awesome to see. What I was gonna say is I had asked you earlier about if the laser cutter printer or whatever you want, laser cutter, does it do engraving?
It does.
Yep.
So, like, if we wanted to do special edition Sit Rep Podcast pint glasses,
Yep.
we can engrave them.
Yes.
Now, when you engrave it, I'm assuming that area that's engraved is rough, right? Or is it smooth? I don't know.
Fairly smooth. I mean,
Because, will it take dye? Like if you wanted to rub like a wash in there to color the engraving?
Maybe.
That
would be up to you to find out.
I was gonna say it
Yeah,
can depending on how you set it up, how deep you engrave it, blah blah blah.
I'm just looking, how it'll be interesting to see how it'll look, you know? Because if we could do our own special edition glasses and stuff, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to get back into doing silk screen printing. I mean, I don't know. I keep telling myself I'm going to get the printer for doing mugs and glasses, with silk screen. But then I'm like, I don't know. Right now, I don't know. We'll see. But it would be cool to have that on tap where we could, do a dozen glasses, special, like today would have been really cool to have commemorative glasses for the Battle of Rorke Drift 2022.
So for glasses, I have to have a rotary tool
Okay.
that will spin.
Uh-huh.
So the laser head just stays
Yeah.
one axis.
Is there actually
Yeah.
is there? Okay.
Yeah.
And we've got the plans for it.
Uh-huh.
Yesterday, got the last piece that I needed, which is a tiny little belt
Uh-huh.
to spin. And so now I've got all the pieces to assemble that.
Oh, very cool.
Yep. And then
So how
set
does
up our
the
U.
glass stay on the rotary thing?
gravity? It just sits on it.
Oh, so it's upright
No,
or
it-
upside down or
No,
Outside.
it's laying on its side,
It's like this.
and then the head's over it.
Oh,
And
okay.
it just
then-
goes back and forth.
Well, how does it not fall off the form or whatever?
It's a...
Is there like a clamp or something that
No,
goes
there's
on?
2 rails.
So it's kind of cradled in between two
Oh,
rollers.
yeah.
And then the
Yeah.
the rollers are what moves the glass, and then the head just goes up and down.
Very cool.
Yep.
That'd be cool. So when you guys get to the point of actually producing something, I'll order some tumblers or pint glasses. We should shoot a video if you once we get it tuned in and you can,
Hey, did you see? Marty posted. We had Sergeant Sitrep
Yes.
overwatching the.
Yeah. Did you guys see that? He was.
Super.
Did he have his safety glasses on though?
He did.
Okay, excellent. For all you people over in the UK for health and safety.
Yep.
Anyway.
And it was well ventilated, and he had a respirator, and his high vis.
Yeah. He had
He had his
cigar was not lit for dangerous fumes.
Yeah.
So, very cool. That'll be exciting. Because I mean, just think of the things you can do with that.
Right.
So,
and
some shot glasses.
the bases are like 8-9 minutes for a sheet.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because what was that, a 2x2 sheet?
Yeah.
And yeah, you just program in what size you want, and then like here, there's a whole baggie of 1-inch ones.
So where are you going to put your machine in your meantime?
I could stay where it's at. The problem with if I had it like outside in a garage or something, you have water circulating through it.
Oh, it's water cooled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's the water circulate? I mean, has it got like a tank or something?
It's
or?
got a water cooler.
And a pump.
Yep.
So I'm looking at my game room. We could turn this into a workshop. We got the printers down here. We could have the laser cutter down here. But then what do I do with all? Then we turn the hobby room into the game room. Because the hobby room's a disaster. You can barely walk in there right now. It's because of course I started reorganizing my computer area, which was a big mistake.
Good job.
Which looks good. I got my UMPCs up on the top, and I got my my computer here. I have a 50-inch screen for my PC now, and then my other PC is still a disaster, and then my Commodore sitting right there. So I don't even have enough space for all my Commodore stuff.
But
But I played Archon the other day. I was very happy about that.
So the laser
It's a desktop.
is about the size of your table here.
See? Plenty of room. And we got windows we can vent.
Yeah, and yes, and you need ventilation for that.
I do need a better exhaust fan.
Yeah.
The 4-inch 195 cubic or CFM.
Yeah.
Nope, not enough.
Not enough.
Nope.
Or we just turn the third bay in my garage into a workshop.
Then you have to heat your garage.
My garage is very well insulated, and I would just get a garage heater.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, otherwise that the coolant or the cooling system will freeze on that laser in the winter here. That would not be good.
Must be raining outside. It's hitting the protective covers. Anyway, sorry guys. We were hearing a tap, 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 tap.
It wasn't just me. It's not just in my head.
That's our initial Zulu probe for later in the day. We've got our scouts out.
So, changing gears like I was doing before I got distracted. Go figure.
Squirrel.
Yep. Big time. So, another wargaming format. Because it's not all about miniatures or board games. Video games. DCS World. Do you see what's coming out? The Apache.
Ooh.
Oh my God, does it look awesome.
Do you mean like the Native Americans or the helicopter?
No. The AH-64D model.
Okay. Just checking.
Longbow.
Yeah. And it was supposed to come out at the end of this month, but they just announced they're delaying it again because they're still working on the pilot model. The pilot model looks amazing. And the different skins. Of course, you can have the 82nd Airborne skin. Just throwing it out there.
Well, something has to be airborne.
But
turns out
you
it has
can
to
do
be aircraft.
You can do 2 crew, like you can on like the Tomcat if you want, or you can have they're gonna have an AI gunner pilot. But it looks freaking amazing. I mean, it looks amazing. I cannot wait because I'd like to get a whole troop together to fly. Because I mean, you see the gun cameras, you can do the whole head, everything, So that
Could you imagine the air sickness if you're a gunner and you have because when you're a pilot you can understand what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But if you're
just the front seat gunner pilot, yeah. I find myself I was playing
Better like roller coasters.
I was playing GTA 5 the other day because I'm trying to upload LSPDR. That's the police simulator that you play in GTA 5. And I was driving down and I started getting motion sickness because I learned, and I don't get motion sickness, but because it's a video game, my body's not moving. just the screen is, right? And your eyes are detecting movement, but your ears aren't. So it gets you motion sickness.
Yep.
Yeah, because of the
Yeah. What I did find, though,
dissonance
when I'm
there.
playing VR in DCS World, I don't get that because I feel like I'm really immersed, and I do find myself
Yeah.
moving, you know?
And there's got to be a setting because when I play on yours, I don't get that.
Yeah.
But when I play on mine, I do.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know what it is. But so the Apache's coming out. That'll look, and with the Syria map that's out, that'll be freaking awesome.
You have the collective. And,
No, I have the Warthog, but I'm going to get a collective. I think I'll see. Here's the problem. The problem is
time. Not enough time.
that's part of the problem. But the other problem is I'm supposed to be thinning out the stuff that I have. Because eventually, my wife and I, we have a plan. We're going to sell everything we own, and we're buying a boat, and we're going to sail the Caribbean, and then maybe points beyond. You can't have all the shit on a boat unless you got the Titanic.
Yeah.
I did see that the USS
That would not
Kitty
be a
Hawk.
good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on its way.
Yeah, it's
to,
on its way for scrap. I wonder
there
how.
you go.
And they only paid a penny for it. I'll give them $1,
There you go.
right? We'll just anchor it in the Caribbean somewhere. It'd be a floating hotel.
Yeah.
We'll make it a game convention. The flight deck, the hangar deck, could be a game convention.
it could literally be an Airbnb.
Oh, could you imagine that? An aircraft carrier as a historical wargaming convention site?
That'd be nice.
That would be interesting.
That would be. So, but anyway, so yes, I want to get a collective. And I know there's a couple companies out there that make them. I think one is Win or something like that, and then Verpal or something. They're foreign companies, but because they also just released a Blackhawk as freeware. It's a free mod.
Okay.
And I was watching a video on that the other day, and it looks really good. 90% of the switches and everything in it work like the way they're supposed to. It's in beta, so there's still stuff that doesn't work. Like, you don't see your crew members. You can sit in the pilot seat. You can sit in the co-pilot seat. You can sit or the commander seat, pilot seat, however you want to term it, depending where you're from. You can sit in they call them the gunner seats.
Crew chief.
Thank you.
Crew chief.
Thank you. Because I'm sitting there talking to Don, and they're like, this is the gunner seat 1. This is gunner. And I'm like, crew chief, that's my seat. That was the seat I always sat in right there. Crew chief.
Yep.
So you can sit, and you can open the doors, and you can open the crew chief window. It would be cool if you get to the point where they model those, or somebody picks it up as a paid model that really puts time, money into it, where you can have your crew chief stand out to do your rotor checks, right? Mm-hmm. So that way you can watch the droop stops, come in and out during spin up and, coming down. That would be cool. That would be really cool.
Yep.
So your fire guard and your, rotor checks. But the instrumentation is, now he says this is a Lima model. It doesn't look like a Lima model because if I'm not mistaken, Lima models had the digital dashes. Or was that Mike models? I don't remember. I thought Lima's
Glass
when they
cockpit?
Yeah, glass cockpit. But this one still has like an A model cockpit in it. So I'll have to go back.
You're talking to the wrong person.
I know, you're a Huey guy.
Huey. There was no glass cockpit on that.
But and then they're talking. I'm watching. I'm like, okay, let's see how they start this thing up because they're going through a cold start. And these are gamers. They're not pilots or any. They don't even have helicopter experience. And they're like, yeah, you push this button for the tail wheel lock, and you keep it on while you're running it up. And I went, somebody's going to share the pin, and then guess who's going to wear that pin around their neck
until the next guy shares the pin. Yep.
Poor Bill Cheney. So I mean, you can when you're doing a run up, so your tail doesn't swing. But if you have your feet on the pedals and you're doing everything the way you're supposed to, I don't have my checklists anymore because I got wet in a flood in our old house in Sandwich. But I had my checklist, and I would just go down that. You can probably print one off the internet these days,
Right.
But I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
Because all I have right now is the Huey, which there's nothing wrong.
Nothing wrong with the Huey.
No, nothing wrong with the Huey.
Nothing.
But I do love the Blackhawk, and but I'm very excited about the Apache and that type of thing. So Why do I bring that up in this format? Well, part of it is because we encompass all genres of gameplay. You know, we don't talk a lot about video gaming. Mostly our stuff is board game, hex game, miniatures. But there is a big population out there that does simulations, you know, combat simulation, war simulation, whatever you want to call it. And I do enjoy those games.
Yeah, same here.
You know, whether it's flight simulation like DCS, or DCS World rocks. I honestly don't, even Microsoft Flight Simulator can't touch DCS World when it comes to combat military aircraft.
Right.
I play Arma 3. I haven't played that in a long time, though, you know, because that game takes a lot of planning if you want to do missions and stuff. But, you know, when I was playing it all the time, it was really cool. It's a great simulation game. I play a lot of historical games. There's that Civil War, I can't remember what it's called now, but where you fight the different battles, you know, and it's from a general's viewpoint. You know, you're not skirmishing or battalion level or company level or anything like that. So, you know, you fight Gettysburg, Chickamauga, all of them. And that's a good one. I find those easier to play when it's just you, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you don't want to take the time to pull out miniatures and, you know, or set up a board or, you know, whatever the case may be. So I find it as a nice alternative to play a historical war game. And some of them are so well done, you know, you're not just moving pieces along a board, you know, your guys are moving, right? It's animated. So you get a different perspective. There's a few games out there that I think suck totally.
Damn.
I mean, you know, the Call of Duty games and what's the other one? Medal of Honor games. They're not war games. They're skinned, themed games, but, you know, I saw the one where they're jumping into D-Day or whatever. I don't remember which one that is. I don't play them, but it looked really cool. You know, here you got the guys jumping in. You know, it looked really good. They do amazing animation, but the game it turns out to be just another shoot 'em game. You're running around shooting people, right?
Nothing wrong with that. It's got its place.
I was gonna say.
I mean, if that's your cup of tea, grand. But
Sometimes you just need to shoot.
That's right.
there are. I'm mission driven, right? You know, and they'll say, well, there's missions in Medal of Honor and Call of Duty. But half time when I've played the multiplayer, you're just running around shooting people to rack up points or whatever it is. There's that World War I game that came out. What the hell is it called? It just came out not too long ago. And, you know, I it looked really good. I'm like, that's a World War I game. I mean, how many World War I games are there? You know, first-person view. It can be third-person view or first-person view. And ended up just running around shooting people.
Yep.
You know? I'm like, this is not how tactics work. This is not how battlefields work. Oh, my God, we're just running around shooting people. Right? So...
Well, on some level, you know, it can't be realistic because, seriously, you're...
Trench warfare would have sucked as a game.
right? Yeah.
All right, Private, pick up that shovel.
Yeah.
Here's 5 million sandbags.
Get to it.
Yeah.
I want them done by 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Dig the ditch, fill the sandbags,
Yeah.
and
Meanwhile,
have your partner, you know, move them.
yeah. And you've got to have your feet in water the whole time.
Right. But now there are other games like Piotr just did Combat Commander, or what the hell is that? Close Combat, where he did Stalingrad, and that series used to be owned. That series used to be owned by Microsoft Studios back in the day, and now I think it's MMP that has it, or Slytherin, or somebody has it. I have some of the versions, and that's a good combat simulation game, war game. You know, it's not on the arcade side; it's really strategy. Valor and Victory. Which, by the way, SitReps is partially responsible. It's really Jim, but I mean, part of the SitReps podcast is credited with the Stalingrad DLC download pack or whatever they're calling it. That comes out next month, I think it is. So you're gonna see our name in the big time.
Yep.
Yep.
I'll tell you, there's another game or a series of games. Some people would probably be apoplectic, you know, by me saying this, but you know, good game that you learn stuff from. I mean, any game that you learn stuff from is is good.
Yes, most definitely.
Believe it or not, some of the Assassin's Creed stuff, because the areas that you're running around, either Egypt or Greece, and you're learning about some of the stuff. You're learning about the different cultures and why some of the things were going on, and you see the scale, the new one, Vikings and everything. It's good. I mean, like anything, it gets to be a bit grindy, but what war isn't?
Yeah. So there is definitely a place for video games and wargaming. Yep. Just depending what you're looking for. I like the more historically based ones, where it's not just I run around and shoot and capture a flag type thing. Yep. So Valor and Victory is a good one. I'm still trying to get Jim to formalize our own game, Set Rep Skirmish. He does it virtually in Excel. I'd like to see it transition to either Vassal or to Tabletop Simulator, and so people can interact. Versus just Jim doing all the interactions. If somebody tells me move my piece, blah blah blah. I'd like to see that two-way interaction. But there's so many formats out there, and it's just amazing what you can do with wargaming. So, guys, we've hit that mark. It's about that time. We got to go take down the Zulu Nation.
Get breakfast.
No.
Breakfast? What do you mean no? No breakfast?
Well, yeah, breakfast. No takedown of the Zulu.
No
Nation.
take down Zulu. No takey down.
No, the
that's
Brits are going down today.
that's yeah.
So, guys, make sure you check out our video snippets later on the defense of Rorke's Drift, or the Battle of Rorke's Drift, however you'd like to term it.
Yep, when the Zulus are going to crush.
I don't know. They're going up against the Lomax brothers.
That's
First time the brothers have been together in combat and on the tabletop in a long time.
Well,
So
it
there's gonna
turns
be
out you don't get
factional
any more
infighting.
Brits, so
So we got to finish up some painting, slap some wash on some of these guys, do a little ground coating, and bada bing, bada
You
boom,
mean
we're ready to
stain,
rock and
right?
roll.
You're staining your guys?
Yes, I'm staining my guys. He thinks he's funny.
dear Lord, it's gonna be a long day.
Yep.
So, guys, thank you so much for joining us on this episode 2 of Season 7. We apologize to our special guest. He was supposed to join us this morning. He will join us hopefully on our next episode as we talk about Adepticon.
Yep. Michael said that he was available in 2 weeks, so
Okay.
we will pick him up at the next show.
And, guys, it's awesome having you here at the table.
Right?
I honestly think we should do this more often.
Yep.
If we have to change it to a time that's more convenient to do this, I'm cool with that as well. Because I think the interaction's better when you're sitting across the table and everything. And, having the little video up there, I don't know if it makes much of a difference or if you guys have enjoyed it. I hopefully will. It was a last minute thought. Next time we'll have a better camera set up and to do it, because I do watch several podcasts and they have their audio portion and then they just have a camera running so people who like to watch it while they're doing other things can see what's going on, like everybody watching Marty paint, guys. Yeah. And
Sorry that he didn't fall off anything yet today, but we can try.
the day's still early.
Hey, don't worry. As it turns out, the chair that I'm sitting on, the seat is not actually connected to the frame.
Oh, is that one of the ones that the screws fell out?
Yeah.
All right, rock on.
He's got a loose screw, that's for sure.
Yeah, true that.
So thank you guys for joining us on this episode of the Sit Rep Podcast. Make sure you check out our Facebook page, our YouTube page, our Discord channel, our Twitch channel, our webpage, thesitreppodcast.com. And there you can check out all of our different pages, including the supply room. And in the supply room, you can buy merch. So please help support the channel by buying some merch. For Marty and Chris, this is Bill, and we appreciate everything you do, and we'll see you next time. Well, take care.
You have been listening to the Sitrep podcast. We hope you have enjoyed the show. Make sure you like and subscribe to all of our channels on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Discord. Remember to join us every other weekend for a new episode of the podcast, and don't forget our other programming on Wednesdays and Sundays. Thanks for listening.